All right, I think we're live again, board.
Seems so, yeah. Welcome.
Yes, welcome. Nice. Then today we're going to continue on what we talked about last time, or not continue, but do it in the same format. It's going to be a quick one. What we like to check whenever we publish something online, a new web shop, on e-commerce, or whatever. So basically a checklist for what to check when a new website is up. And today, as always, board, we're going to share our screen to show some stuff.
I can definitely show some stuff, Didrik. And this is kind of we're building a going live checklist. That's what we're doing. And before we're done, we're going to show our favorites, basically. So this is our top tools and top tips, so to speak, to make sure that things are working when before, and I would say also after going live. It's not an exhaustive list of things that you can do, because there's more things, but these are our favorites. So let us know in the comments or join the Slack community if there's other things that you really think that should be on this top list. One of the things that of course you want to check, right? You want to check that it's functionally working. And there's many ways to do that. I prefer to use the browser and basically just do a checkout process, right? So basically just adding stuff to the cart, verifying that the prices are correct, that the product data is accurate, that the registration works for the client, that payment actually works, because you typically test with dev accounts, but you should test with live accounts before you actually go live. So just to verify that the funds are being reserved and everything is working as it should be. Do you get the email confirmation? Is the order placed properly, etc.? So this is an obvious thing, right? But we have to start with that. And part of this is, of course, also to check, does it work on mobile? Because surprise, surprise, depending on the market, today most shoppers are actually using mobile phones. So check that it's responsive and that it's properly working. And this is something you should, of course, check manually, like I do now. But you really need to have an end-to-end test for that, to test that the full checkout experiences with the different variations is really working. Because if you do a change and you suddenly break it on mobile because there was some CSS positioning of a button or things like this, and then you suddenly see a drop in sales and you wonder why, well, you could have caught that with automatic testing. So that's a little bit the basics. But what do we typically jump on next, Didrik?
Well, usually, at least from my experience, whenever I publish something to the web and I send you the link board, first thing I see back is a page score. What's the Lighthouse score, basically? How does it perform? And in the world that we are today with Next and all of the different frameworks, there's several different ways of getting a website performant by using the different ways of generating sites, for example. Some of them have to be dynamic, but what we usually do is creating full static HTML, CSS pages in the end.
Yeah, so this is, of course, one approach where you can pre-generate, but also, as I said, things need to be dynamic, right? So this is also why we work a lot on responsiveness of also the dynamic part. So using the proper APIs and the methodologies there.
Yeah,
because
Yeah, and often we experiment with whatever is in the latest version of Next. So here we actually do experiment with something called PPR, if I'm not, I don't remember what it stands for, but basically that everything is statically generated except the checkout process here. So the button, for example.
Cool. So, and then, as you said, we first then check performance. You also check that it's performant and works on mobile. You typically want to see green scores here. These are lab results. That is important to note. And then depending on the market, your visitors might have faster devices or slower devices, or faster connectivity or slower, right? But this is a good benchmark to verify that things are in green. So here we have almost 100 for everything. It's lacking 2 points for mobile, but also accessibility, best practices, and SEO. That's nice with the Lighthouse test, that it will give you the score, but also suggest still potential savings. So there's still a little bit of optimization that can be done on this accelerator. And also with accessibility, gives you the score. Do you have the basic and things are in shape, but there's still things that you could and should check manually. And same goes with best practices, that there's still things that you can define and optimize even further. So this is the first thing we do whenever we see a project, right? We do the Lighthouse test. You can use PageSpeed Insights from Google, which is basically a hosted version of Lighthouse. You can use Lighthouse in the browser, like Chrome has it built in. Gives you the possibility to run this on your local host, for example, while developing, which you should do. Continuously check that things are performant. You could also use other tests like web page test, which is a little bit more nerdy, a little bit more extensive in terms of what it checks and what it gives you feedback of. So it's typically a combination of these two that we see that we keep using as the initial test for, are we following the proper standards? Do we have canonical links? Do we have proper HTML? And do we have image sizes with source set and all those good basic things that, surprise, people forget. So make it part of your QA process and your go live checklist. So that's really where we start. And at that point, you have verified a lot.
You can also see under the SEO tab here, which is a good segue to the next thing we also usually test, that you see we have structured data is valid, for example.
Yeah.
And structured data is a way to tell search engines what this page is, basically, and to get snippets, widgets, and everything as a search result.
Yeah, and kind of 2 levels that you at least want to have this on. So one is the actual structured data, but then you also have the metadata or OG share type of data to make sure that things are having the proper experience when shared on your favorite social media. Let's see. I mean, let's do this guy. And if I want to do, I picked the red version here. So this is also things to check if you have a multivariant product, that you actually check the variant. This is the red variant, and verify that the product data actually is for the red version of this. So I really like metatags.io. It's a super simple tool that does exactly what it says on the box. You can take a URL. Let's check the Steel version. And you will be able to verify that the metadata is correct. Now, there are several tools for this out there. I can show another one. If you're using Vercel, for example, which most next projects, I guess, are using, you also have the Open Graph checks directly in the thing. And here you can define the path also where you want to do it from. So this is just on the main landing page here, where you have the welcome text, and it also says, oh, site name was not provided. It should have been provided, and that's why you want to test, right? Because here we're missing OG URL for the link previews, and then site name for the site. So this is something that you always should be checking, and these are the basics, right? This is the basic HTML properties that you should have on every shop. But we want to go even more nerdy, right, Didrik?
You do.
So rich results. So here we've done for the lounge sofa. So this is basically using the structured data definitions to basically define merchant listings and product snippets in a structured format. And this means that Google and other search engines, it could show up in as a shoppable product, basically. So that they don't have to, like in the good old days where people had to do web scraping and try to figure out what the title was, etc. This is a fully structured format, and there's stuff here that are optional, and there's stuff that are required. So here you have a schema that defines basically how to define a product, how to define product variants, how to define things like brands, etc. So it's basically taking all of the data that you have on your product pages and also other pages, and making it available in a structured format so that robots can figure out what's going on. Yeah, so this is
it follows the definition from schema.org, and there's two ways to set it as well. One is inline in the HTML using item scope, or JSON LD to generate it as a JSON object, basically, that lives on the site. The hardest part about it is actually figuring out what this page product is easy, but as soon as you go into another direction, what is the classification of this page?
Yeah, because it basically predefined structures of data, and like an article or a blog post might have a different, but on, for example, our articles, we have it's kind of a story, but you also have products, and products should have merchant listings, right? So to make sure that all of these things are being picked up by the structured data. This is so often forgotten. Almost every every project.
I do it myself. Sometimes I forget. And it doesn't only matter to e-commerces. It's also, like you said, there's a lot of different classifications, and even on videos. Videos has its own classifications in the schema, and media in general. So even images.
Yeah, definitely. So that's at this level, if you have structured data, your meta information looks good, performance and best practices and everything looks good. Then you need to make sure that search engines actually can find you. So there's a couple of things to check there, that you have a robot.txt, which tells you what is allowed to be indexed, usually referring to a sitemap XML file, where you define all the routes or all the paths on your site that should be indexed by Google and friends. So several ways to check that. We said pre-launch, but my favorite tool is Google Search Console, because this is actually what Google sees, right? So you can put up a sitemap XML and it might look good, but if Google doesn't find it, there's something wrong, right? And if it's here, things are properly verified. So this is just from our website, chrislas.com. So I know you test things differently and more pragmatic, Didrik.
I do it as I always do. I go to the website and do /sitemap.xml just to see at least that it's there. And this It's also something you can test locally, but it does have a real value to check through Google because that's what you're basically feeding. But here you can do. So here you can see it's pretty slim. That's because this is actually a sitemap index, which refers to different sitemaps again. So here we go. This is, of course, based on Next, so you do have a lot of functionality in there as well, that you can create a sitemap route and generate the sitemap on the fly, basically. What you can also do is actually create sitemaps for both videos and images, as well
you can have
as just
separate sitemaps for separate types of data.
Yeah, so different content. So sitemaps also plays a valid role into being more visible, basically, helping it out as much as you can.
Yeah, and again, after you verify that everything is on the up and up, once available in Google and Google has indexed your page, you will also be able to check it in the Search Console, which also gives you, your actual traffic and conversions and things like this. But another thing that you also want to check is, okay, this here is lab data, as I said. This is not actual data. In this case, it's we don't have any real user experience data on this site because it's both new and it's just a demo site. But what you actually want to check is what's the actual core web vitals, because it doesn't matter. It's like it works here. Google don't care, right? It needs to work there. So this from our website, you see it's usually good. We had some partially degraded performance on some pages here, but that was fixed, and it's all good on both desktop and mobile. This is for crystallize.com as an example. So this is something to basically keep track of on a regular basis and make sure that things are performant. Yes, there are other tools that you can measure performance in. Vercel has tools for it. You have a ton of other tools like even like search engine tools like SEMrush, which we are also using. Also will check performance then. But in the end, it's mainly for Google if you are actually measuring it, as they will give you better ranking and more clicks, better conversion. And of course, it's the actual user experience, right? If you have a fast site, people enjoy it and actually purchase more. We know that. One thing that is also quick to forget, HTTPS, it just needs to be secure. So that's also why this is one of the main metrics, actually, experience metrics in Search Console, is that you need to verify that your site is having a valid certificate and is encrypted with HTTPS. That is also very simple to check, right? You can go in your browser, and different for different browsers, but you can usually see here connection is secure and we have a valid certificate. You're good. It's as simple as that. So that is basically from our side, I would say the top tools and things to test before going live. If you have suggestions, things that we definitely should add to our going live checklist, please add a comment and join the Slack community and send us the links. Then we can assemble the best practices for pre-launch and post-launch checks to do before going live.
I need it.
We all need it.
Yeah. Oh, good. I think that's all we had to discuss today. Of course, like Bård says, there is a lot of tools out there. These are our favorite tools to at least get some insight in how this website is going to be and how it's going to perform. But then again, there's a lot out there. So give us the heads up if we miss some. That would be cool. And other than that, I think that's it. So if you like this, also please consider to subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
Have a good one.